Your turn.
Is it? Okay.
You're going.
I said wait, but never mind. Welcome to Dave and Joe Liberty Stand, and yes, I said that. Anyway, we're going to do, what's it called? Time to turn the tables. And
Yeah.
Joe's going to start us off because this is in his wheelhouse. And then I'm going to compare what he says with why we ought to start turning the tables.
Well, the reference when Dave said that was there was an account in the scriptures of history of what Jesus did. So I'll just start. It's John. We're taking this out of John 2, starts at verse 13. It says Jesus clears the temple courts. So verse 13 starts out, when it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple courts, he found people selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and others sitting at tables exchanging money. So he made a whip out of cords and drove all from the courts, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. Thus, to those who sold doves, he said, "Get out of here. Stop turning my Father's house into a market." His disciples remembered that it was written, quote, "Zeal for your house will consume me."
Now, Joe, what does that last line mean to you right there?
A passion for the Lord, standing up against people using God as an excuse to make money, to just like, you know, like people get upset about the churches, you know, how big churches are, how like some churches have these beautiful gold, you know, all this gold and all this bling and in their sanctuaries. There's a particular church, I think I was a family member referenced to me, like that was something that they saw. It was going almost like it was about the accumulation of wealth or something. So that kind of goes into that, you know, people making money, you know, off of, you know, of God, I guess.
Right,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
right.
Does that make sense? So that's why Jesus, you know, the title of Time to Flip Over Tables is like Jesus saw this corruption. I mean, for hundreds of years, you know, or longer, people, you know, they started to take advantage of other people, and they used, like, there were temple courts that were supposed to be to worship God, and there were like prostitutes, and you know, people just, because of our sinful nature, you know, we take what God gave us, the beauty, and we turn it into something that is ugly, you know, just like the human body.
Wait a minute, we're getting off.
You know what I'm saying?
We're calling out lines.
Yeah, that's okay. I like to do that. You got to keep me in line.
Well,
here.
I was fun to watch you for a minute. But, plus, I could just smoke my cigarette. But,
yeah, you could. You could. Why
no,
don't you?
I wanted to compare that to times now. What would you say if I asked you, because this is your, I mean, when I wrote this down and had this thought, this was like one of my ideas I wrote, and I thought this is something I'd like to pick Joe's brain about. What's going on now that you think about it's time to turn the tables? What would you?
Well, I mean, I'm going to try to take this to the
And remember,
perspective.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Well, because I'm trying to take this to the perspective of, in correlation with what we just read about, was the temple of God. You know, this is where people come to worship, and
you're
well,
not.
and I'm going to say, if you're talking about the church, today's church, and how it's a prosperity gospel.
They are only,
you know what I'm saying? The American way.
They are only trying to get asses in seats, and they're not preaching what they ought, what they're supposed to be. They just, because they're afraid to, because they think they're going to turn people off.
Oh yeah.
And so anything's okay,
right.
and hey,
right.
we're not going to be, we're going to be okay with that,
right?
You know, And on top of that, the government's got the, you know what, you're going to, you know.
Well, now if you say something, it's getting to that point. Well, they already tried it in Texas, remember? Where the governor of Texas, wasn't it a governor or mayor?
Yeah, they had to write down. They had to like
they had to turn in their sermons.
Their sermons. Yes.
To the was it a governor in Texas? It was a lady, I know.
No.
And
there haven't been a governor in Texas.
Was it a mayor? Was it a mayor?
It was a mayor in a city. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so
was that Austin or where?
It may have been. I never really heard.
I remember it, but I can't think of what city.
Any recent news, but it was that was centered around the gay thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That she was saying that if you can't say anything derogatory about sin.
Now,
I mean about. Go ahead.
First of all, they're already trampling on the First Amendment with
which is freedom of speech.
With your business, if you're a Christian business owner.
Yeah.
And you want to practice your religion with your business.
Overarching government arm.
Now, and they always said, well, you can do what you want in church, but you can't do it out here. You can't do it. Now they're trying to get it into the church.
Right, exactly. Right.
It's time to go raise some hell and turn some tables, man.
I understand that, because if Jesus was living in today's time, I mean, what Jesus is concerned about is the body of Christ.
If Jesus was here now, on earth,
he would be confronting the pastors.
He wouldn't be turning
the leaders of the church.
Well, no, I'm going.
He wouldn't necessarily.
I'm not even going with. I started that with the individual pastors or priests or whoever. But with Washington and what they're trying to do with churches and religion in general, Washington would be flat. He would have been turning over buildings.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that because he hasn't, for one.
No, he's letting. No,
because he's alive.
He's letting
today.
He's letting us do it.
Yeah. Well, okay, but the thing is, though, you have to separate, the church, which is God's temple, God's house, God's people, and Jesus is more concerned about those who are saved as far as how they're reacting or dealing with his word versus how the government is dealing with the church, because ultimately we're going to be persecuted. Because, think about, Dave, back in the Roman time when Jesus would walk the earth, okay, the Romans, they were the heavy government arm,
right? I understand, right.
Well, help me here because I'm not an expert, but they were kind of, the Jewish people were under their control. They allowed them to worship, right?
Oh yeah, they were in partnership with them.
Oh yeah, but they had to pay
the hierarchy
homage
of the Jewish.
I see.
The religious hierarchy was the leadership of the Jewish people were in.
Oh yeah, we're in cahoots with the government at the time.
Right.
Well, and I could see that happening here too.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Kind of. It's not quite as official as that was,
right.
But
and I think there's an arm of the church today, maybe that's is going to bow down or has it's kind of bowing. It's bowing down to the cultural norms, the cultural ways.
This is my theory.
Okay.
And this is be an interesting talk. For the next 2 minutes because we only have about 2 minutes.
Yeah, we could do another show.
I don't go to church, and he's a very big church guy. He goes to church stuff all the time. I think, from what I've heard, and I listen to a lot of people, I know about a lot of what's going on in church.
Right.
And for a long time, for however many years, I don't know, it's been many years since it's going on, all the priests and the preachers and the reverends and the pastors and all that, they dumb it down. They water it down because they don't want to turn people off. They don't want to turn people off.
Right.
But yet people, less and less people go to church.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
People want to hear the real stuff. They don't want to hear, hey, you're okay, I'm okay. They want to hear...
Well, because they're hurting, aren't they?
You want to go. You know what church is?
I know you're going to say.
What? What am I going to say?
it's a place for the sick to go. Those who
It's a
need-
doctor.
Yes.
You go to
The sick go
after a
to-
week. After a week of regular crap,
Yeah.
you need to go get your soul
Yeah.
injected,
Amen.
man.
Yes.
You need to go get the IV
The blood
going.
of Jesus.
And
A shot from
you need
the
to get
Lord.
revived.
Yeah.
Man. And,
Yeah. This like they said, the
to-
sick don't go to the
to
hospital,
get you,
or the sick go to the hospital to get so.
but
yeah.
it is the same thing.
Yeah, it is.
And it gets you
is.
through the next week, and then by the time it's time to go again, you need to go again, and this is from somebody that doesn't go to, but you got to understand, I have a computer and I take care of that. Don't worry about it.
Well, then I'm here too.
And
so.
and Joe, I always got Joe, and trust me, he can vouch. I call him all the time for this stuff. But anyway, we got to wrap
Well,
it up.
but that's ultimately, I think, to wrap it up. I'd say the concern is again. I mean, we've heard and we've seen about the churches splitting, right? I mean, there have been churches splitting in the United States or in the world, and one of the reasons why is because one group wants to stick to the scriptures, God's word, where the other group wants to say, let's twist it, let's make it sound good, like you said.
Let's water it down.
There's no sin, there's no evil.
Well, what's the point?
What's the point for Christ? Why did Jesus die? He died for that.
Hey,
you might as well throw Jesus out the window if you're not going to talk about sin.
Right.
Because then, okay, we're all good people then, right? There's many ways to God.
Bottom line before we go,
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe how many really awesome, great, nice people go to hell.
Yeah. Amen.
Because no matter how nice or good you are, there's only one way to get.
Oh, man, I was talking to somebody the other day who I thought was a believer. And they're like, I couldn't believe what they said. I'm like, you don't have to be good. Your choices. You don't get to heaven because of who you are. You get to heaven because of who died for you, which is Christ.
And
So,
if you recognize and
acknowledge,
believe
there's
and
a
acknowledge.
political candidate that says he's never asked for
We gotta
forgiveness.
go.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Good night,
we
you
gotta go.
guys. We'll
Bye.
see you later. Bye bye.